Welcome to Planetary Health First, Mars Next. We are on a mission to transform healthcare where all equally benefit by building a robust, dynamic, diverse community. So glad you could join us. Awesome. Well, welcome to Planetary Health First, Mars Next. We got an amazing special guest today, all the way from Paris, straight through the digital internet today, live. Meghan Conroy, who is an award-winning digital health entrepreneur and with a seriously cool background in sales, marketing at Abbott and J&J, some companies you've probably heard of, and degrees in physiology and digital photography, which is a fascinating combination. And she is the founder of CaptureProof, the clinical photo and video platform for medicine. Her many awards include Accenture's Health Tech Top Innovation and the Most Disruptive Medical Entrepreneurship and Disruption Award. Meghan holds 5 patents and has extensive experience in IP development in the digital health sector. Meghan's media coverage includes both national news and a selection of leading print media. Meghan is also the founder of Brilliant Hush, a clinical trial photography management company. Previous, Meghan was the marketing director for the Parsons Paris School of Art and Design. She also is an award-winning photographer who has exhibited in Chicago, San Francisco, Paris, and London. Wow. We are so glad to have you here today. It is awesome.
I'm super excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I think you saw me win one of those awards way back in the day in San Diego at MedX. There was, I think that's where you and I met. We met, didn't we meet at Coronado Hotel at Daniel Kraft's conference? Was that it?
I think we probably did. And that I love Coronado Hotel Del is my favorite. It's my favorite place. So that's awesome. And so is there anything we left out about you, your background?
I mean, I think we covered it all. I do have a small unicorn cashmere business on the side that keeps everybody really cozy, but that's very off topic. So no, I feel very fortunate that I did get to study things that I was most curious about, where I was looking at physiology. I'm fascinated by the fact that our body heals. We're such a complicated and complex system, and that we regenerate ourselves and bring ourselves back to this homeostasis and normal is just magical to me. And photography, I'm a very visual person. If you sit next to me long enough, I will have the challenge of opening and scrolling and trying to find that photo that I wanted to show you that goes along with the story that I'm telling you. Just recently, I was pulling up a picture of an octopus to show some children that I saw at the aquarium. So if you don't know about the map feature in your organization of your iPhone, that is very helpful. But that also leads to why CaptureProof exists, because we really, since 2012, we've been managing photo and video in a way that makes them usable for physicians. So getting the right data in, getting that data to be organized in a way that makes it easy to find.
So for those who might be listening and not watching, I want to just share what we're going to be talking about. Why are visuals so powerful in medicine, and how does AI play a role? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So as you can, as probably everyone listening and you yourself, perhaps, we've all gone to the doctor and been like, but up until this morning, X, Y, and Z was happening. And so we get there and our symptoms don't show up. And there are a lot of symptoms in medicine that are sporadic, and we don't necessarily have all of the words. And then there are a lot of diseases in medicine that don't necessarily have very specific scales or standards that have been established due to the fact that maybe they're rare diseases, or we're just starting to learn learn about these diseases, new diseases, or have a variety of different ways that it is manifesting. I mean, COVID is a great example. It can be a GI for experience. For some people, it can upset their stomach. For other people, it's an upper respiratory tract infection, or other people, they're getting sinus infections. It's got different modalities in different bodies. And for visuals, we see a lot of obviously skin, also neurology. Epilepsy is the king of symptoms that don't show up to the doctor's office. You do not have an epileptic seizure on demand. We've done a lot of research there. And orthopedics and the way that you move. And so the reason that visuals are so important is if you believe that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and we all agree that we do not have enough doctors to solve the problem in front of us. Our most limited resource in medicine is doctors' time. Then being able to see an image, which MIT did a study, and it actually shows that our brains have this phenomenal ability within 13 milliseconds to actually read the image, read the visuals in front of them. And so if you can go through a prescriptive manner of capturing the same visual endpoint over and over and over, you then have the ability to delineate a pattern out of that. And that is what medicine is. It is a study of patterns. And AI plays a role because when data is captured in a manner that our computer vision has the ability to understand, we're then able to break out objective endpoints from that data. So it could be how quickly can you tap your fingers? It might be how many times can you stand up from a chair in 30 seconds? It might be how's your balance looking? Are you worried that your parents or your grandparents are maybe not looking so stable, but don't know how to have the conversation with them? Perhaps you have an ability to open up a conversation in a new way where you get objective information about that patient.
I'm just blown away by what you're able to do and sort of bringing healthcare to the modern age. It just seems like what you're doing with CaptureProof is really radically transforming where healthcare needs to be in this conversation with AI. So I'm really excited to hear kind of a little more of what you're doing. And especially in the area, I think we were talking about the area of falls. And that was one area. Can you tell us how you guys, like, why do we care about falls? I think I might know that answer, but I'll let you talk about that, of course, but also like what you guys are doing with falls.
Yeah, we care about falls because it's actually the leading cause of accidental death for our senior citizens, and senior citizens are age 65 and above. So as we all age, that number feels a lot lower each year. There were 3 million emergency department visits in 2020 that were due to falls. It's the leading reason that brings patients into the emergency room. And really, it's a preventable experience in many areas. So what we're able to do is we have a variety of validated scales, from the timed up and go, which it's exactly what it sounds like. You sit in a chair, rise, walk 3 meters or 10 feet, turn around and sit down. And we get a variety of biometrics out of that, from not only how long it took you to do the process, like the timed up and go does, where in the office, maybe someone's using a stopwatch. We also look at what your turn times are, how quickly you're rising, how quickly you're sitting, the ability to look at the angles of each your head, shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles, and the ability to understand if your alignment is also making you at risk. In addition to that, we're able to pull out the variant in your right foot to your left foot, and what your cadence looks like, not only full cadence, but on either side, because cadence variability also has a high link in order to identify if someone is at risk of falls. We have an amazing story about this woman who 2 years ago, she was over 12. She was 12.4. And that was said that she was at risk. Anyone over 12 is at risk. She was 79 years old then. Now she's 81. She has taken a balance class and is doing Tai Chi up to 3 times a week. And her score went down to 10.3. So she's no longer at risk for falls. Her balance is much better. And she herself says that her confidence is much better too. So there are things that we can do in order to keep people on the rails, shall we say. And they're light touch. This is all done just with a mobile phone. We have what we call a smart medical camera, but that's just an app on your iPhone or your Android device. And if your parents have the technical capacity to capture a photo and attach it to a text message to send to their grandchildren, they've got the technical capacity to use CaptureProof.
Wow, I see many applications for physical therapists, for senior citizen centers where, and I imagine there's a big correlation with dementia with these gait, levels. So can you tell us a little more about user applications with this?
Yeah. So within CaptureProof client base, we obviously, if you're researching something with a visual endpoint, we'd love to talk to you. But also, just as you're saying, nursing homes, skilled nursing facilities, emergency rooms. We're definitely working with specialties across the hospital, but highlighting with podiatry, foot and ankle doctors, sports medicine, orthopedics physicians, neurologists and neurosurgeons. We have some really great AI that can track the way we can track fine motor as well as gross motor. So having the ability to identify both movement and or lack of movement sometimes is important if you're looking at things like tremors or other aspects of health. So we work with independent physicians, health systems, large and small, and not only in the U.S. We are continuing to grow across the globe.
Wow, this is fascinating. I imagine there are many levels of getting much more effective diagnosis with your solution, and then the speed of doing assessments for these practitioners must be really frustrating prior with paper, pencil, and whatnot. And now they have CaptureProof.
Well, and one of the things that's really cool is, COVID has changed the face of medicine in a way that it really brought in telemedicine, but it can be very challenging for the patient to do a physical exam at home. And so having the ability for the patient to do this kind of health homework, where if they have a low back problem, maybe they want to lay down and move your legs like windshield wipers. Maybe you need to lean forward in a chair, stand up and lean back. And having the ability to capture those exact movements so that when you're synchronized conversation, streaming like you and I are, you have the ability with the physician for them to look at that scan and actually see the information that they were trying to see versus trying to get you to set up your computer in a position, then move things around and all of that. So it's a really nice companion to getting more, I like to call it decisionable data. I'm addicted to this idea that we get decisionable data in front of the doctor's eyes, that it helps them take the patient to the next best step of care, as opposed to just, continuing to do wait and see visits. I'd love to remove all wait and see visits from medicine, what we would save in people's time and potentially burnout. I think some physicians are burned out because they're seeing patients they don't really need to see, or don't have enough information to move to the next step. And it's created a really exciting opportunity and a really exciting springboard for where things are going.
It sounds like CaptureProof is an accelerator of decision support, diagnosis, prescribing, and treatment. And there's so much waste in healthcare we hear about that administrative waste, the billing, the coding, but really the decision support waste of time, people's time, and then the provider experience. So I can imagine that there's a big, bright future for CaptureProof. So could you tell us where that future, what does the future hold for you guys?
Yeah, I think the future is very bright. With CaptureProof, we have the ability to streamline care, like you say, and also improve that decision making pathway, allowing for providers to get the most out of their time. You can imagine they don't have enough time to read your entire health record. But if in 2 clicks they have the ability to see how you're walking 3 years ago and how you're walking just today when you came into the office because the medical assistant took that video of you already, that gives the ability to have more than one data point to make better decisions for you. And so CaptureProof's future holds a bunch with outside of the walls of care, but also within the walls of care. It's an amazing, accurate documentation platform at a fraction of the time it would take the physician to actually write out how the patient was walking or what they saw in a tremor, or say the UPDRS scale in neurology. And then also we're looking at the idea of, how is a platform and does AI become a medical device? And how do we help take the low-hanging fruit and the easy decisions and identifying best next steps of care, working through the FDA process of regulatory and approvals, and really getting more robust impacts across the board. In the future, I see many AI algorithms that will be designated as medical devices with CaptureProof and our partner companies across the industry, and having the ability to truly democratize access. We have a lot of areas, not only in the U.S. but across the world, where getting access to the expert is really hard. And so I don't know if you have seen our logo, but our logo is a hand with an eye in it. And that is because we say we put the expert's eye into anybody's hand. And being able to do that has the ability to speed up diagnoses, has the ability to get patients to the right person or at home with the right information onto the best pathway for care.
Well, I feel like you've been intelligently designed to be the founder of CaptureProof, just like Steve Jobs got going down a rabbit hole with topography and all the design to make Apple be a differentiator, because that was about design and product experience. And your experience with photography, like no one else is designed to do what you're doing the way you think. I think it's just fascinating. That's what I've been, as I've gotten to know you, sort of like, this is sort of taking the best of what you have done and do and putting it into a product. I think it's fascinating.
We were just having a conversation yesterday with a pharmaceutical company that's doing some amazing work in rare disease states for young children who have a very tough life ahead of them. And they're taking on the task of putting together a molecule that will hopefully extend the life and make it increase the quality of life of these little ones. And it was fascinating to me to sit there with my team and this other intelligent team and talk about how would we approach this and what's going on. And I feel extremely grateful and exceptionally fortunate that I am hyper designed to be exactly where I am. And I mean, I don't think I would ever compare myself to Steve Jobs, but I do agree with him that, it's only when you look backwards that the dots kind of connect in a way that makes sense. That statement of his very much speaks to me. And I think that there are some of us who have the fortunate opportunity to find what it is that we're meant to do here and to do it. And I do believe that making visuals important in medicine and getting visuals to be a respected aspect. I mean, I started talking about photo and video in medicine in 2008. We didn't even have cameras in our phones yet,
Mm.
and in 2012, CaptureProof was founded, and I think our phones had about a 3 megapixel camera. Now our phones have a better camera than the first clinical trial I put together and spent tens of thousands of dollars on equipment into each of the sites. So we're really fortunate to be on this wave and to have the opportunity to take a crack at bringing medicine up to speed and asking questions to the right people, and having the staying power to see it through. Healthcare is a very particular aircraft carrier to turn, and and so it is not for the faint of heart. But I applaud all the other entrepreneurs out there who are taking a crack at it, and the investors who invest in it, because it is a longer journey than some other options might be for them.
Well, Meghan, it's been a pleasure having you today and just sharing who you are, what you're about, and what you're doing at CaptureProof. How does the audience get a hold of you? Where could they find you? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. I am at Twitter. My personal account is at Meghan Conroy, MEGHANCONROY 10. And then at CaptureProof also works at Twitter. You can also find me at CaptureProof email or LinkedIn, of course. Just go ahead and reach out. And yes, if anybody wants to talk, if this speaks to somebody and you think, oh my goodness, we need to talk. If you're a client, I'd love to chat with you. If you're another entrepreneur trying to take a stab at it and have some questions, I'd be more than happy to offer an ear. So looking forward to hearing from your audience. And it's been such a pleasure to be here, Michael. Thank you so much for making the time for me and CaptureProof's story. It's obviously something that you've watched pretty much from the get-go. So it's great to connect.
Yeah, no, it's been great. And it's about that time. So friends, it's been such a great journey today on Planetary Health First, Mars Next. Feel free to follow us. Just type in Planetary Health First, Mars Next on the internet. Until next time. So the big question today is with Meghan Conroy here. How would you see a doctor from Mars?
Yeah, isn't that a good one? Like, I know you're Planetary Health First, Mars Next. So if we're going to talk about Mars healthcare, how would that actually work? Like, we all know that telemedicine is something that happens. However, I don't even know what the time zones are on Mars. Do you?
That is a great question. So I know that why we want to go to Mars is because it's pretty close to Earth, and the time and the cycle, and that's a little more technical, whereas the moon just is so off, and the whole gravity and all the other things, but it's a little further. It takes about six months to get to Mars. So I don't know much more about it, but with all confession, Planetary Health First, Mars Next is not necessarily about getting to Mars. It's about doing right with Earth now. But hey, we will be in Mars soon. And my daughter, I probably will be visiting soon. So, but I would like to know from you. You are the expert. I am just the facilitator and the host. So you tell me about how you see a doctor from Mars. I'd love to hear you're the technology AI expert here.
Yeah, so what we have accomplished with CaptureProof is we've decoupled medical care from both time and location. And I believe that will be extraordinarily important from Mars, due to the fact that who knows what sort of experts will actually decide then to change their practice and put it up into Mars versus staying here on the planet, or even on that 6-month cruise ship getting there. How are you going to see a physician from there? It's not like you have a air vac out of the cruise ship into another location. It's still going to take you just as long to get to one end or the other. So how do you do it? You probably do it twofold, the way some really, some planetary hospitals are doing it these days. You have an actual potentially streaming telemedicine tool that maybe you use Teladoc, maybe you use Amwell, maybe you use, there are a lot of streaming telemetry. You just use Zoom. And then you also have to capture the right information that can actually be viewed either before for more accurate triage or during that telemedicine exam, because you're not always able to get dermatologists say they are really struggle to see the fine and the resolution on the camera here isn't something that they'll feel comfortable looking at a mold, but obviously our cameras have that now. So CaptureProof's been a really nice adjunct to augment the medicine experience, where a patient will go through a prescriptive request of photo or video and get the right information that allows for either a diagnosis to be made or a request for more information to come back to them. And then it allows, in any sort of progressive disease state, the ability to continuously track. So in the future, your medicine appointments may never include an actual live stream or shoulder to shoulder, face to face, however it might be in the same room on a different planet. You may actually be able to get this healthcare done without ever having to sync up on time. And I don't know about you, but I've never had a doctor that ran on time. So decoupling medical care from time could be beneficial, Mars or planet Earth.
Yeah, I love that. And I see like a lot of this cloud edge computing, all these localized technologies to accelerate the computing power in real time, using AI as a breakthrough to accelerate these things. But that probably is for a talk for next time. And any takeaway that you would like to leave from this, we would love to hear. Tell us one more thing about Mars, doctor care on Mars. Love to hear it.
I just think when we think about who are we asking our questions to and how do we get in front of the right person, and like it or not, if you show up to a meeting prepared, you have a better experience than not. So doing some homework on your own, gathering the right information in a way that your reader, your physician, will be able to understand can be very valuable. I've had neurology patients say, my doctor finally believed me, because they were able to video whatever maybe was happening to them and share that video. So having the ability to ask the right questions, be curious, track progress. Medicine is a study of patterns. So everyone has to have something happen twice before it's a malady. You even get one seizure for free before you are diagnosed as an epileptic. So making sure you have the ability to understand what your personal pattern is will be amazing, especially from Mars, because precision medicine and personalized medicine is only going to behoove us to a longer life and a better life.
Yeah. Well, Meghan, this is so awesome having you share really all the things, not just in Mars, but really here, making medicine work now for not only the provider, but most importantly, the patient. And this has been
100%.
great. Great having you on Planetary Health First, Mars Next. We've had a special guest, Meghan Conroy, founder and CEO of CaptureProof. And until next time, friends. Friends, it's been such a great journey today on Planetary Health First, Mars Next. Feel free to follow us. Just type in Planetary Health First, Mars Next on the internet. Until next time.